functions, visiting chapters, and meeting members. I hope that many of you have gotten to know the wonderful person that she is, and that she has inspired you just as she has inspired me. One of the many times I have been impressed by this girl happened when we were still munchkins. We were walking our sheep, animals which she hates with a passion, and her lamb decided he was done and was heading back to the barn. Well, we'd always been taught never to let go, and she sure as heck wasn't going to. She held on to the lead rope while that lamb dragged her down one side of the draw and back up the other, bouncing off trees the whole way. At the time I remember thinking she was crazy, but now I admire the determination that she has always had, and the determination to hold on is the same determination that has allowed her to accomplish so many great things in her short 19 years. Please welcome our sister, and your 2015-2016 state reporter, Rachel Derner.
You are good enough. You didn't have to do anything to earn it. You don't have to prove it, and nobody can take that away. You are good enough. My biggest fear has always been failure. I have never been more afraid of anything than I was of second place. All through high school, I competed at everything with everyone, and I usually won, but I still didn't feel like I was good enough. Have you ever felt that way? I thought that maybe that next office, that next CDE team, that next conference would make me good enough. But it's not about what you've done, and it's not about what you've won, and it's not about what your resume looks like. It's about those people who are there for you no matter what. The people who know that you are good enough and always make you feel like it. Who are those people in your life? The first person in my life to make me feel like I was good enough, my first truly unconditional friend, was HJ. I never would have picked HJ for a friend. He was loud, he was rowdy, and he was always in trouble. But one day, I was upset about something someone had said to me. HJ followed me. He asked me what was wrong. He listened to me, and he gave me a hug. Then he said something along the lines of, "It doesn't really matter what anyone says about you, because their words don't change your character." From that day forward, HJ was one of my closest friends. He didn't care about the offices that I held, or the plaques that I won, or the grades that I earned. He just cared about me. HJ taught me how to be a friend, how to listen, how to laugh, but most importantly, how to love. I use those things to build some of the most meaningful relationships in my life. Like my relationship with Claire. Claire is a selfless friend. We did everything together in high school, including recover from breakups. My junior year, my first real boyfriend, who I was convinced was my one true love, broke my heart. I called Claire, who immediately rushed over with ice cream to reassure me that I was still good enough. Claire's still the first person that I call when I'm upset, or even when I'm excited. Who do you call? Who always reassures you that you are good enough? Claire and HJ started out as my friends, but you can probably see why they ended up being like my family. Friends who become family are the ones who never leave. the ones you're always good enough for. Friends like that help you overcome your fears. My fear of failure had completely taken over my life in the last 3 weeks. I was absolutely terrified to give a retiring address. I convinced myself that nothing I had to say would be good enough. I wrote 11 different RAs between January and April. Last Thursday night, I confessed my deepest, darkest fears to Lois and Avery. The fear that I would let all of you down. The fear that I couldn't live up to your expectations. The fear that I wasn't good enough. And they said to me, just by caring that much, just by having that much love for what you do, that's enough. Just be you and tell your story. That's enough. It was then that I realized, through Lois's compassionate and contagious laugh, and Avery's honest heart and open arms, that being good enough wasn't something I had to compete for anymore. Being good enough is something that's inside of you. In the hard times, when you're afraid, who's there for you? Who reminds you that you're good enough? I'm going to pass that on to all of you. Just by loving what you do, just by caring that much, just by being you. That's enough. You are good enough. It's so important to have people in your life who love you no matter what place you end up in, no matter what your resume looks like, and no matter what you're afraid of. My biggest fear is no longer failure. Instead, what I continue to worry about is being the kind of person who makes my friends feel like they're good enough, because I had best friends who did that for me. But Lois and Avery and Claire and HJ can't be everybody's best friends. It's up to each of us to be somebody's friend. Can you be the unexpected friend? Can you be the forever friend? Can you be the one who would do anything for their friends? Can you be the one who is honest and passionate? Can you make someone feel like they're good enough? I needed to hear that I was good enough. And so do you. Someday, when you're upset about something someone said about you, when you may have just got your heart broken, or when you are absolutely terrified, I hope that you remember this night. I hope that you remember, no matter how many times you fail, you will still be good enough. Wyoming FFA, you are good enough.
From competing against you at public speaking to going to girls' state with you, it's unmistakable that you have a competitive spirit. But it's also easy to see that you're so dedicated, passionate, and caring about whatever you put your mind to. Thank you for showing us that dedication and passion about this organization and about the agricultural industry. Because of you, we were able to achieve even greater goals. Thank you also for teaching us not to talk to strangers with ducks on their shoulders. Ladies and gentlemen, for the last time, your 2015-2016 State Reporter, Rachel Derner.